Welcome back, everybody, to Spot On Jaguars podcast, brought to you by Teal Reign. Just 2 Sundays left until regular season football. We got a great show for you today. We're going to do a recap of the Detroit Lions-Jacksonville Jaguars matchup from last week, along with a preview of this week's Miami Dolphins game, and then we're going to get into some roster and depth chart news. So if you like Jaguars football and all things Duval, hit that like and subscribe button, mash the notification bell, and let's get going. Okay, guys, we're back again. It's Eric, Ben, and Jeff, and let's get right into this. Last week's win versus the Detroit Lions. It was a preseason victory, but it still counts. Ben, the big story is Tank Bigsby once again leading the way. What was it? He had 13 rushes for 70 yards, added a catch for -2, but still, they got him active in the passing game. That's the one everyone's talking about. We'll get into some other stuff later, but first, talk about Tank Bigsby.
Yeah, I mean, I've been talking about him since we started doing shows. I'm so excited about him. And, we keep talking about how good – I mean, just think about what's going to happen when Etienne's in there killing it. And, again, I think he's going to have a breakout year. But when he comes out, you got Tank. You got that. What we just saw in Detroit, 100%. There's no drop-off. 100%. 100%. There's no drop-off. With some different style, too,
But the combination of the speed and the power, and he's supposed to be the bigger guy, but he looked elusive. He got to it. Jeff was talking – me and Jeff were talking earlier.
Jeff and I
were talking earlier.
We're not in English class. We're from Duval.
He had a little shake. He had a little wiggle. It looked, he looked like a lead NFL running back. That's what he looks like, and he's going to be the second guy in this offense. Speak to not only Tank, but the offense as a whole, getting started quick. Go ahead.
So what I saw in the Detroit game is not a running back especially a rookie, that didn't just let me get the ball and run straight. This dude stopped several times at the line and made an adjustment and took off. The vision is third-year, fourth-year player. It was so impressive the last game.
And what we always hear when it comes to running back is patience. You find the hole. You wait for your hole to open and develop. You wait for the linemen to get their blocks, and then you hit. And that usually comes along with experience. Tank seems to have it
now.
Quickly. Exactly.
Now.
You think of Le'Veon Bell. You think of Adrian Peterson. You think of the patient running backs that find and then explode into that gap and then try to make something happen. Tank Bigsby looks like that guy.
100%. Again, but the way he just stops, moves left or right, east and west, and then just boom, explodes.
That change of direction. Yeah, and you could see that. I remember watching some of the college, clips, and it was that exact thing. He's going one way, puts that foot in the ground, changes direction, and then he's got a little pop.
Game, man.
Well, he came out. I forget who it was. He said to maybe it was to Etienne when he was coming off the field. Somebody asked him how was it or whatever, and he mentioned he's like, man, it's moving fast because it is kind of a rude awakening, when guys that first time because everybody's good. But
as Urban Meyer would say, it's like I'm playing Alabama every week.
Yeah.
And now,
go ahead.
I'm gonna edit that out.
That was funny.
No, but you saying we're not gonna talk about Urban, the coach who shall not be named.
Right, but Ben, so now I understand what everyone's gonna say. It was just the preseason, or it was just the Detroit Lions. Hey, they're in the NFL too. These guys are all trying to make teams. These guys trying, and Tank looks like a weapon. He looks like a guy that if he can do this on a week-to-week basis, this guy is just going to be.
Well, and we're going to touch on the the depth chart and everything later on, but yeah, they're playing against our second strings, but technically Tank is our second string, right? So we're not playing against bums, you know what I mean? So it's yes, they're not the starters or whatever, and there's something to be said for that. But they're legit. They're good players that he's playing, that he was doing that against, right. and that our whole team is performing against. And again, we'll speak to it in a second, but the overall depth, of this team and what they've done to accrue talent, top and bottom of the roster, it's exciting.
And like what you said, the patience to find the hole and explode through it is just. I am blown away impressed.
In what this guy brings and what's expected to be a passing offense, quote unquote, is in what he brings to the running game along with Etienne. This is just going to be what a wealth or a abundance of riches. Is that what it is? Yeah. So this is just going to be extra added on to what we expect to be a passing offense. The running game is looking explosive, dynamic, and we're excited to see it. And like I said, this is a preseason game, so I'm not trying to get way ahead of myself. Sure. But in the Detroit Lions, known for having a weak rushing defense, but wow, they look good. And sticking with the running game, Dearness Johnson piling on, 6 for 36, looking real good. Also 2 catches, not for big yards, 7 yards.
That one was nasty, the one-handed, right by the goal line. I love Dearness Johnson, and that's what I'm
free agent pickup.
Yeah, great. And because I was hyping him before we got Tank, I was like, I really like Dearness Johnson, and then with Jermichael Hasty, good player. And he's a real good blocking back too. So I mean, like our running backs are set, and you think
You
that
say we have a stable?
We have a stable of running backs. A stable of stud
okay,
running backs.
so stick with the running backs for a second. Now let's talk about Snoop Connor. Obviously, we've talked about the numbers game. We've talked about the roster. We're allowed to keep 53 men. Is he going to be the odd man out? This was 5 for 18, 3.6 yards per carry against backups against the Lions. Obviously, we don't know. We're not going to sit here and say we know what happened on the offensive line, defensive line, on those fronts. But he's just not producing the way you expect a third-round pick to produce. And is he going to be the odd man out? And right now, it looks like it.
I mean, behind what we already have, though.
Yeah, and that's what it is. It's going to be a numbers game. I don't think he makes the team. And I think, I think they got him initially because they were searching for that. I think they saw somebody that could maybe get tough yards, like a goal line back, that type of thing. It's just not even detracting from him. It's just that what we have now with Jermichael Hasty emerged and looked good last year, but then you got ETN, now Tank, now Dearness Johnson, and with Jermichael Hasty, it's tough.
It's tough to follow up.
And I want to stick with offense for a second. We'll get to defense in a minute, but I want to stick with offense for a second, and let's talk about the quarterbacks real quick. So they've already come out and said C.J. Beathard is going to be the backup. 12 for 20, 138 yards, a touchdown, and a pick. Looked okay. Nathan Rourke, though, 10 for 12, 121 yards, and 108 QB rating.
I'm a Nathan Rourke fan.
Oh, I think we all are. After
he's like your new Minshew.
Yes, he is. He's my new Minshew.
But so I'll ask the Nathan Rourke fan. After the highlight play from last week, which had the whole country, up and up, that was a great pass. We know that. But now to follow it up with this,
he had one in the last game too. It wasn't as dramatic, but
10 or 12.
Right, it's going to be hard to keep this guy. We asked the question: are we going to go with 3 quarterbacks on the roster, that emergency quarterback spot that you're now allowed to keep? But are we going to?
But that still counts against your roster, though.
But we cannot put this guy in the practice. We cannot because he'll get picked up. This guy looks like an NFL quarterback. Now, again, he was playing against backups and sometimes third stringers, but this is an NFL quarterback. And you can't hide him anymore on the roster. Someone will pick him up if we don't roster him. It looks like he's now going to make the roster.
I mean, you got CJ had 76 rating, and then Rourke had 108. And one thing I love about what Rourke said is like, I need to make a highlight reel. Because he don't know if he's going to stay on the team.
And he's making a case for himself.
And to me, he's making a wonderful case where I'm like, get Nathan.
And so, Ben, tell me why, if we're the fans, we're watching what they're seeing. We're watching what we're seeing. We're seeing the highlight plays. We're seeing the ad-libbing. We're seeing the freelancing. And it looks like he's making these plays with a great quarterback rating to back it up. How come they're so intent on saying C.J. Beathard is our number 2?
Well, okay.
And not giving Rourke that?
That's a good question.
Well, a couple things. And I'm a Rourke fan, too.
Is it just experience?
I've enjoyed. So, I think it's...
It's the 7th year?
Who, Beathard?
Yeah, Beathard.
I don't know, but I mean, he's been around. He's been around a while. So this is what it is. We're all enjoying what Rourke is doing. Beathard, I don't think has played bad. He's also Trevor's bestie, and a guy like Peterson, who was backing up Brett Favre. Sometimes you want your backup quarterback to be a guy that, yes, he can perform in a pinch, but he has good communication with the starter. He sees things with kind of like, maybe he has that like coach's, eye for things. So when Trevor comes over the sideline, he can kind of break things down, and Rourke is still learning himself, so he doesn't have that. And I think that they really like that about Beathard. We talked about it earlier, but Rourke is playing against third stringers and stuff, and I'm a fan, and he is legit, and he was good in the CFL. So I'm not downing him. I just think for me, where my kind of position is, I started off saying, he looked good. I like that play, and I like plays that he's made, and he looked great last game. But I went from thinking that for sure we're only keeping 2 to what are we going to do?
Let me pose this. It's the old adage is you want the backup to come in and not lose. Now, first off, if Trevor goes down, obviously we're in a world of trouble. But you want the backup to come in and not lose you the game. But this guy, Rourke, looks like he can actually go out and win you the game. Now, we know how important a backup quarterback is, Chad SUNHONEY. But if this guy can come in and actually make plays and get you those yards, does he make himself a roster spot? Is that a case enough to make himself?
I think part of what we're going to talk about it, but the cuts are going to be tough. There's going to be some good players that we're probably going to lose, whether it be because we put them on the practice squad and somebody else snatches them up. I just think he's another numbers thing where it's like, yeah, you want to keep him. Do they keep a third quarterback or whatever? But I feel like if he goes on the practice squad, they're going to snatch him up.
I mean, if you look at the 49ers last year, I think a third quarterback is very necessity.
Yeah.
If you look, there's been.
You know what I mean?
We've seen guys perform well in Canadian leagues, other leagues, World League, NFL, Europe, whatever, come over here and make plays. Think about Doug Flutie. Think about Kurt Warner. We've seen it happen. This guy has shown that he has, he can make every throw on the field. He can freelance. He can make the plays.
Make a play happen.
Right, and he can get it done. So I like him. Would you like to see him as number 2?
100%. But I understand, like what you just said, made a complete point because it's 2017 when CJ came into the league, and I know it's Trevor's bestie. He's got the knowledge, and then you got Rourke, who's really a rookie. Okay. So it's like, but Trevor's third year. I mean, if he really needs somebody, he's got Peterson. If we're going to talk about that, but I get what you're saying. That makes, it makes complete sense.
But do you like look at what happened with the offensive line and some of the injuries we just had? We have Trevor Lawrence, MVP, possible MVP candidate, all that. I mean, do you take up a roster spot? We're trying to win now, you know what I mean? And so, we need to make sure we have other pieces in place so that if something were to happen to Trevor, and then CJ, you know what I mean? Do you have that third quarterback? I know stuff can happen, but for me, I think he's very nice. I want to try to keep him, whatever that looks like. But I just don't know if it works.
In sticking with guys that are making a case to make the roster, we'll talk about maybe the deepest unit we have on the team right now, the wide receiver position. These guys are showing out. Some of these guys are balling. And we have, all right, so essentially our starters are set. We know who those are going to be. It's going to be Ridley. It's going to be Kirk. We know Zay Jones is going to be there. We obviously Jamal Agnew because of the return game stuff. And Parker Washington seems to be, which by the way, Parker Washington was the only return game.
They're keeping Agnew out. They're not going to run.
So they're not going to play. So it looks like a deep receiver group. But what do you think is going to happen with the receivers? How many are going to stay on the roster? Who's going to get cut? We're looking at Tim Jones, Elijah Cooks, Kevin Austin Jr. Who they're high on Austin Jr. But these other guys, they're making some good plays. I know Jeff was excited about backup. Talked about the position group, the receiver position group, and what you think about the numbers there. Ben, you're first.
Well, I mean, it is tough, and we'll have our kind of official announcement coming up as far as our, who's going to make the team, or we're going to discuss who's going to make the team. But, the Jags seem to be really high on Austin. And
we haven't seen much of him. So
no, in the games he hasn't really done anything. Tim Jones he's a really good special teams player, and he's made some big plays. He made that one catch.
Jeff was
that was flipping out about. Cooks, Elijah Cooks he's the name that everybody's talking about.'s been making plays, big receiver,
6'4".
Big guy. Everybody's big to you, Jeff, but he's real big. And he's kind of like the buzz guy. What? I'm sorry, I couldn't resist. But no, it's
just so everyone knows. In the pre-production meeting, and I say that loosely, that term. Ben was telling us that we're getting on his case a little too much, and then you're going right for the jugular. You started off right.
That's all I go with is the short jokes.
So shots have been fired very early in the game. Shots have been fired. So let's see how this ends up. I didn't know we were breaking the ice this soon, but let's get back to it. Tell me about Elijah Cooks.
I'm going to take the gloves off.
Tell me about. Keep going. Tell me about Cooks.
I'm from Old Kings. I'm trying to warn y'all so that shots don't get fired.
All right, warning heard.
All right. So anyway, back to the receivers. So it's going to be tough. I kind of feel like Parker Washington, they have a draft pick. They spent a draft pick on him. I feel like he's going to make the team. He hasn't done a ton, I guess.
Well, he had the catch.
He had that real pretty touchdown catch. He did have the fumble.
That was in the return.
But I think he looks good. I mean, he's got some quicks and I just feel like they spent the draft pick on him.
But isn't that carving himself out a role on the team and getting himself that roster spot, that's his job? I mean,
because if Agnew goes down, you got Parker.
Exactly.
And we're not losing much.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I think what it comes down to for me is Tim Jones and Elijah Cooks, Kevin Austin Jr. And then you got Elijah Cooks that again has kind of stepped to the forefront. Yeah, everybody's like on him, and he does look good. He stands out. There's other guys too.
I mean, 3 targets, 2 receptions, 69 yards.
But Jeff, do you think we're going to keep 7 receivers? That's a lot of receivers.
I think so, and I know I talked about Tim Jones, and what impressed me the most is the last game. When we played Detroit, he had a pretty big holding play, and that's with a great run, they got a first down, and being as a young receiver, did he get down? No, he
bounced
didn't.
right back.
He bounced right back and caught a pass that was not a regular pass.
Beautiful
It was a gorgeous, and the hand and eye coordination was there, and it's like he never got down himself, boom, next play, boom.
Well, when you're projecting, I obviously I don't want him to go anywhere, but as you're going down the line, if Christian Kirk maybe gets too expensive, maybe Parker Washington can be that slot receiver, that guy that is in that Christian Kirk mold type of thing. We don't know. I mean, that's going down the line. Sorry, Jeff. My computer's making noises. I swear I muted it.
But all right, so tell me one more. So normally we would say a couple of these guys, good player, have potential. You could put them on the practice squad, stash them on the practice squad. These guys will get picked up. These guys will not stay on the practice squad and not get picked up by the other teams.
I think that maybe not all.
There is a real decision to make.
That's what, maybe not all of them, but I think that definitely some of these guys, they are going to get picked up. And it's the negative of being in a good place as a football team.
It's a good problem to have.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
You know what I mean?
It's like we haven't had to deal with this a whole lot. But now we have
like,
quality all throughout the roster. Yeah.
It's like last time it was like, I guess we'll keep this guy. He's not that good, but we'll keep him. Now it's like, well, I don't want to get rid of nobody.
Yeah.
It's like, can we not make it a 62-team roster? Okay. You know what I mean?
All right, so listen. So let's talk about the defense for a second. And we played what was last year an explosive offense in the Detroit Lions. Was a high power. I think it was the number 1 overall offense in the NFL. And they were near a playoff team. They came close. They didn't make it, but they did have a great offense. We held them to 7 points. I mean, obviously backups played whatever preseason. We know that, but they have a high-powered offense. We held them. We slowed them down. We kept them to 7 points. If the defense can play like this, we're expecting a deep run, and maybe. Are our hopes big enough for Super Bowl run now?
I would pump the brakes a little bit. I mean, we got to see. I mean, I do like some things.
I would say we're the number 1 sleeper as a Super Bowl contender.
Well, no. I'm fine with that. I'm talking about specifically defense. I think that as far as like the defense, I think it was backups, and I'm not.
Well, no. All right. So
dismissing it.
Okay. So first, Jeff's itching to talk about Ventrell Miller. Ventrell Miller, a second game in a row with a sack. We got this guy in the 4th round. He's out producing guys that we've had, got very high. I'm talking top 10 overall.
Caleb got close.
Caleb did work this week. We'll talk about Caleb in a second. But talk about Ventrell for a second, who we picked up in the 4th round. Let's talk about if we find a guy that can deliver double-digit sacks on the season in the 4th round and be productive in the run-stop game.
You got Ventrell Miller getting double-digit sacks, bro?
He's got a sack in the last 2 games.
That's 2 sacks. I know it's preseason. I don't care.
We're playing 17 weeks now. There's now 17 games. Double-digit sacks isn't what it was in 1968. Everyone passes.
Yeah,
I don't think it's a stretch to say this guy can get double-digit.
I think it's a stretch.
I don't say it's a stretch.
I think it's a stretch.
Well, let's put it on film. I'm going to
call. I like him. I think he's good.
Let's put it on film. I'm calling double-digit sacks.
You talking about with the linebacker core?
What are you giving this guy, bro?
Dude, I like his enthusiasm right now.
Yeah, I think both of y'all are idiots. No, listen.
I'm scooting over here by him.
Yeah,
no, let's talk about Ventrell Miller.
Yeah.
And you don't think he can get double-digit sacks? Let's stop right here.
No.
There's 17 games. Every team is passing.
You don't even know how they're going to use him. If he's even going to get on the field.
He's got a sack in each game. I do know how they're going to use him. They're going to get to the quarterback.
I know that. And listen, if he does, God bless him, and I hope he does. And I like him. I'm rooting for him. I'm a Ventrell Miller fan. I'm just a realist, and I think that I'm still worried about the sacks. Where that's going to come from now. Who was it? Steve Smith was in. I think he was watching the practice and commented on Trayvon, and I think he had a list of notes from the players, and he just put "wow" next to him. So he was looking pretty tough. But Abdullah kind of disappeared this game. He looked good in the first game and then didn't do a whole lot. He's just undersized, but he's a good player, and they say he's very coachable, and he corrects things or whatever. In the second game, I'm not sweating it. I'm just saying that was a guy that showed out the first game.
I mean, guess who showed up the first game and second game? Ventrell Miller.
And another guy, Caleb Von Chason, did some work this week. We got on his case last week a little bit, and I understand, once again, versus backups in the preseason, he whiffed on 2 sacks, but he was in the backfield. He was making some noise. He was being disruptive, looking like the guy we want to see. He's actually making a case for himself, trying to, remain active, remain on the team. Yeah. What do you think? Tell us the future for Caleb Von Chason. I mean,
compared to, the last game to this game, granted, he missed 2 sacks, but he's in the backfield.
Well, I
want to see that. I want to see I mean, at least we're talking about him, and he's on the stat board compared to Trayvon.
And Ben, okay? I know he whiffed on 2 sacks, but he's not used to being in the backfield, so
maybe
that's new to him.
The defense in general at the start of the game was disruptive, and that's what I like to see. I think that the defense looked good at the start of the game. I mean, throughout the game, we held them to 7 points, but I'm saying, like, seeing the higher depth chart players, being active and being disruptive, that was encouraging to me.
And that was encouraging me to see, because I want him to succeed. I mean, I really do.
They
want
love
him to succeed, and that's all I've heard in the offseason.
They're going to have to make a decision. If he makes the roster this year, they're going to have to make a decision because he's now a free agent going into the next year, right? So they're going to have to either pick up that they decline the.
I think they're they're letting it play out.
So they're going to let it play out. So now he can either make himself a bundle of money or he can be cut.
It's a make it or break it year for him.
Yes, it is.
Of course,
especially with the depth we have.
Yeah,
right.
But they say he's a good special teams player, and the coaches like him, and they say he's young. We talked about this last episode. I mean, he's got all these things. He hasn't put it all together yet. And hey, hopefully he does. We'll see. But I wasn't overly impressed. I mean, I like seeing him active, and he got close, but you got to finish him. That's what is.
Would you say the linebacker group as a whole looked really good as a whole?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. And then obviously we held the Detroit Lions 7 points. So we think that the cornerbacks and the safeties look good as a whole. Mm-hmm. Defensive line played good as a whole. So these groups are coming together. They're playing together. They're looking good. And, I mean, I think they're putting
Which
it together.
Is always, that was the thing. Like, yes, I still want them to, I would want them to sign somebody or have wanted them to sign somebody. But the hope is that second year, Mike Caldwell is a second year. These guys are familiar with everything. He knows how to utilize guys right. And then you have that second year progression and the maturity of guys. So they're going to take a step up. So, they're not going to, be more, they're going to be more productive than they were last year. So, I mean, that's what we're all hoping for. So, and then, we do have, we've supplemented with some of these rookies that have shown out, in practice and in the training camps and all that. So,
and I know it's preseason, but we're from the South. We're all about SEC football or college football. This defense just reminds me of SEC defense, just fast. And not just the physical. I'm gonna push you back. I'm gonna hit you hard. I am fast,
but fast.
Like the East and West getting to the. I mean, it just. I love it. I love it. Well, if you do not push a line back, but guess what? I'm gonna be here, and real fast, and I'm a
Devin
cover.
Lloyd that's one that like him. He's looked really good. They said he had I think an interception in the.
Just the speed is just impressive to me.
Right.
And I was just gonna say, the one thing that I liked about just as a takeaway from the game. They had the practice with Detroit, and it was getting chippy. And there was a whole bunch of drama. Like the reporters up there from Detroit were kind of like, blasting us, saying that we only had like 2 reporters up there, or 3 reporters covering the team, and there was just like a lot of weird stuff going on. I think that they were saying that they were trying to imply that the Jacksonville media was kind of given some false information about how the Jaguars looked. So some of those stories that were coming out was about Anton Harrison working Aiden Hutchinson. And, there were some clips of video that came out, and he was stonewalling him.
Did Hutchinson play that?
No.
He must have worked him because they didn't play him.
Yeah, and so, but my point is Detroit seemed to be taking on that sort of, hey, we're going to go out there, we're going to prove to them we're tough guys. And so they're going to try to get an identity. And so they were, taking some shots and stuff in practice. And then we kind of took it in stride. We didn't just, we didn't bow down to them. We kind of went back at them a little bit. But by and large, we just kind of went out there and did our thing. And then come game time, the same thing. All that little chippiness and all that little extra stuff that they were doing, it was like, okay, cool, and we're just going to go win and dominate.
And let me see this 25-7.
7, exactly.
So in this experience, getting these young guys in, getting the rookies to play becomes important when you look at what's going on with the injuries. These guys need to be ready to step up at any time, and we did have some key injuries. So getting to the injury news, we had Antonio Johnson and Devon Hamilton on the defensive side of the ball going down. Devon Hamilton with the back injury.
Yeah, non-football related. He didn't play, and it was Brent Martineau that had I think he tweeted out that he saw him walking on crutches afterwards. And then since then, they still didn't get into any details. They didn't have any timetable on when he was going to come back, and that's concerning because it's like you don't know what it is. They're not disclosing anything, and we need him. I mean, he's going to play a big part in our defense.
Antonio Johnson with a tricky one, a hamstring, which you know how those linger, they last, they repop. You never know when you're safe again. You never know when you can hit full speed, and it's always in the back of your mind. It's running. You got that hamstring, and you don't know when you can like let it loose and just run. So those linger. So two things to look at with those guys, and then on the offense side of the ball, Anton Harrison with the shoulder.
Yeah. So just hearing the guys talking, Baselli was talking about, he seemed to think that it's going to be just a pain tolerance issue. They got him in the harness or the brace. He thinks it's pain tolerance, and he may have to get something fixed at the end of the season. I mean, it's not ideal. You don't want him to have any type of pain issues. You want, a rookie tackle, playing at full strength, but he supposedly he's going to be able to play. It's some of the other offensive linemen that I'm worried about.
And being on a shoulder injury, not only just playing pain-wise, but training, like your chest workouts. I mean, that's depending on where it's at. Is it high? Is it this way?
And
is it
terrible
low?
timing. Obviously, Cooper Hodges going down with the patella tendon tackle.
That's a big one to me.
And the thing is, right now, with Cam Robinson being out those 4 games, this is the worst time for offensive line injuries.
Hodges was the big one to me.
Yeah,
we got Ben Barch back, so that's good news. And then Josh Wells, who we brought in to be the swing tackle, he goes down. I think they said it was a groin. At first they weren't really talking about it too much, but Peterson had said something to the effect, it's not good. So he's not.
Well, a groin injury is kind of like almost like a hamstring injury. It's
right. something that lingers. Yeah,
something that lingers. Mm-hmm. Because you can take one quick step to the left or right, and boom.
So they have, we have a couple weeks left until the start of the regular season. We don't expect to see them versus all the guys in the injury report. We expect them to sit versus the Dolphins team, but the coaching staff has said that we are going to play the starters versus the Miami Dolphins, which may or may not be a mistake. We'll have to figure that out. But Ben, what do you think?
I mean, they need to get reps. A couple episodes ago, I think I've been worried about the offensive line just because I think it's so important. I think we all were, in agreement. It's just like to be able to utilize all those weapons, Trevor has to have time.
Offensive linemen have to play together. It's experience.
Yeah, get chemistry.
The chemistry only comes from playing together in game. You just can't build that, and so we have to see that. And going forward, we'd like to get them these reps, but the injuries are slowing that down right now.
Yeah, and so I mean, but I do think that I like. We weren't sure going into last game when we shot the show, just how they were going to do things. I like the way they ended up doing it because they got good work starter on starter in that joint practice in a controlled environment. They can say, okay, hey, run this, and it's not going to get out of hand as much. But I do want to see the guys get reps. I want to because we need to start fast. I mean, even we're playing Indy the first game, and they seem to be limping a little bit, and they got they're kind of a dumpster fire. It seems like at least, but we got to hit the ground running. So I like the fact that they're going to get some reps. I'll be honest though, if they come out and they look sharp, and we get like some good action early on, like just take them out. Okay, they're good. They're good.
Because I was going to say depending on how they play.
Yeah.
1 quarter max. But if they come out, boom, boom, boom. All right, I've seen enough. Let's get them out. Let's get them out.
Okay, and this is the third and final regular preseason game, which generally is the time. It used to be 4 preseason games where they would rest and sit all the starters, just play the backups.
Right.
Because cut down day is coming up. The roster cut down day is coming up. But now they say they are going to play the starters. They want to see a little bit more out of them, and obviously they have their reasons. But let's talk about the Miami Dolphins. Let's talk about it for a second. High-powered, explosive offense led by Tua Tagovailoa. Now, we don't know what we're going to see, how many reps we're going to see from him. Obviously, the injury history. Super fast wideout group with Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, And then they obviously have the running game with, Mostert, A-Chain. They got some guys that can run. Now, we don't know if we're going to see all their starters, but this is going to be a test to put our defense to the test, see what we can do. What do you think we're going to see this week? Talk about the Miami Dolphins a little bit.
My prediction is pain for the Dolphins.
I like it.
Pain. No, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I guess it kind of. I think that they're supposed to be playing some of their guys too. I'm excited about the matchup because they're a legit team and they're a team that's projected to be, a contender. And so, at least for a bit, we're going to get, in theory, starters on starters and good on good and contender on contender, more or less, for at least a half or a couple quarters. A half or a couple quarters. A half or a quarter. Contender on contender.
If y'all don't know,
no, this is getting edited.
A half is a couple of quarters.
This is getting edited.
So
this is getting edited.
This is football in America.
So see,
that better not get edited. We're talking about the inauguration.
That's hilarious.
We're gonna highlight the inauguration.
Yes, the inauguration. All right, I'll think about it.
All right. So no.
So hold on.
Well, guess what? This is on my phone.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna post that shit.
All right.
Whatever. All right. So listen. So a half. So contender on contender, contender on contender. Potentially, in theory, we would see for a half or a quarter, maybe. But I don't know. So that's what I'm excited about. I mean, because it's a legit opponent that if it were the regular season, this would be a marquee matchup. Right?
I've heard two was going to start.
Potential playoff matchup.
I've heard two was going to start.
Right. And then now, Dolphins offseason brought in Vic Fangio, defensive mastermind, to pair with Bradley Chubb, both from Denver, see what they can get. But now we're not expecting to see them to throw the kitchen sink at us. They're going to play, vanilla, obviously. But we want to see the speed matchup. They have a very speedy offense. They have the wideouts. They have the quarterback that can spread the ball around. So we want to see how our guys can keep up with them. Also, we want to try to put some points on the board with our offense. We want to see them. Obviously, we want to see them come out on fire. I know we're redundant in saying that, but that's the key to winning. So, what are you looking for specifically this week, Jeff? Tell me what we're watching for in the Dolphins game.
What I'm really looking forward to is if they have their starters on the field. Obviously, we want to see our offense, blah blah. But I'm defensive guy. I want to see the speed of our defense against the speed of our offense.
Me too. Yeah.
That's what I want to see. I want to see their starters against our starters, and like you said, it's going to be vanilla. But I want to see the speed, the matchup, because I will get a good judgment of what we're going to have coming forward.
Mid-season prediction form, I'm going to go with Ventrell Miller will get a sack. You're going to
like that prediction.
just that's just for Ben. Give me a Tank Bigsby prediction.
Tank Bigsby's going to run all over the place. He's going to play a lot. He's going to, again, that's 2 games in a row. He's averaged 5 yards carry. He's going to average 5 or 6.
Give me a Parker Washington prediction. Touchdown the return game. Give me something strong, Ben. Give me something strong.
He's going to take one to the house.
There he's going to see some pay dirt.
Like
all right.
I like that.
We'll see how those predictions match up. All right, we'll take it. Not too much looking forward to. We want to see the speed matchup. Obviously, we want to see this could be a potential playoff matchup. We're looking at the starters. We're going to see what we got to see. But yeah, we're not expecting too much out of the ordinary. Just some vanilla ABC offense and defense.
Because everybody knows our offense is going to be our offense. Like, it's going to be better than it was last year.
Right.
Our defense is what I am paying attention to this year the most. Because, again, I've said it before, we were a bend don't break. And can we take that same defense from last year to this year and be better? Absolutely, because our offense. I just want to see us in the speed.
I kind of like not having Trevor Lawrence out there because keep the Trevor Lawrence, the Calvin Ridley matchup a secret. We have that in the back pocket. We know we're going to explode on week 1. We're going to come out on fire and not let them see what they're looking at. Keep them guessing. So I kind of like we got Rourke, Bethart playing, and
And I want to scare other opponents with what we've done with our defense. Because if you watch ESPN, all they talk about, can Jaguars pass rush? They talk about more about our defense of what can we do to elevate this franchise. Right. And I think we've put some pieces together with the rookies and the speed we have and second year development.
That's what we hope.
Ben, you're going to be at the game?
Yeah.
All right. Tell me what you're looking for.
This is just health. Always, that's number one. I think I agree with Jeff, which I don't like at all. But I think our offense is what we think it's going to be. We know what it's going to be, but I want to see how that defense matches up. Against some speed. That in a potentially high-powered offense in the Dolphins. That's my main thing.
I would like to see the Dolphins start their starters.
And then also, I was telling somebody today, this is like This is probably the most excited I've been in a preseason for the Jags, maybe ever. And not just in the potential of the team, but what I mean is like watching the individual games. Like you know, Eric, you hate preseason games. I get excited for preseason games every year, but then like come the fourth quarter, you're playing on your phone while it's on the background.
This year's a little different.
This year is different. We
This
have
year's a
so
little
many
different.
players that I want to watch. You know, the cuts are going to be super interesting, and you know, we've just kind of talked about it throughout today. But like, I'm watching the full game and like looking at these guys and how they're playing. So I mean, that's big for me. I'm going to watch every second of it. You know?
I don't remember a year where a cut actually hurts.
Yeah.
Because it's a good player.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like, oh no, we'll cut that guy. Oh, it's like,
Yeah, every once in a while you'll have players like, man, I really liked him or whatever. But this
great
year,
problem
like,
to have.
it's a fantastic problem to have.
And
I want this problem every year.
Yeah.
Actually.
you look at it in comparison to, you know, yes, we've been playing backups and you know, Cowboys and the Lions, but
It's going to
our
be a
backups
reality
have been
check.
working your backups. You know what I mean?
It's going to be a reality check for us when we cut a guy and another team picks them up for once instead of us picking up the
It's
scrap
just
heap
gonna,
from-
that's the painful part. And I'm just glad I do what I do for a living, and I don't have their job, because that's gonna be tough for me.
Yeah, it is.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Getting past this, Ben, talk to us about a little bit about what you did today. Tell us a story.
Oh yeah, I did want to give a shout out. So I was on Instagram on the Teal Rising page. You know, they put out the little contest, 904 pop-up and 8103, you know, the clothes. I know you got some of their stuff. But I actually won. And I told them when I went in there, I said, guys, I can't tell you what this means to me, because I just came from practice and I didn't get a lanyard. You know, again, I didn't get any autographs.
We're going back into this.
I was really upset. I was really upset about it, but 8103 they came through, and I got a nice.
That's
So
why he hasn't been complaining.
yeah, I
That's why.
got some.
Thank you, 8103. I appreciate you.
I got this starter vintage Jaguars backpack. I got
if
this.
I was a backpack.
Yeah, it's got the Jordan, you know, kind of vibe.
The little mesh.
It's got like the what are the fours? I like that little mesh on there. I got this vintage shirt, which is pretty sick. Eric was eyeballing it, but you can't have it.
Extra large, I hope.
And it is an extra large, Jeff, so it would be addressed to your ankles. But that's an awesome shirt. And then this one, this is actually, I believe this is their newest drop. So yeah, the wardrobe today.
Say their name one more.
Brought to you
904
by
pop-up?
the
It's
904
8103
pop up,
clothing.
8103 clothing.
Legit clothing.
So they have a shop. It's the 904 pop up, and they have. It's a half and half store. You got the ladies on the left, and then you know the guys and anybody else on the other side. But SUNHONEY is the ladies side, and then the right hand side is 8103, and then all the vintage stuff. They got Jordans in there. And I'm gonna put some videos up and some pictures. But like some vintage shoes, like band logo stuff. They actually had a watch party. We were talking about trying to get to it, but we couldn't make it for the last game. But anyway, big shout out. Thank you so much. Y'all go check them out. Go get some stuff from them. They have great stuff.
I have 3 shirts. It's legit clothing.
Yeah.
I'm surprised you didn't say they have a kids section for you, Jeff.
They do have a kids section.
I was waiting on it.
You love to see the enthusiasm behind the team. You know, we're seeing it now. It's getting,
Well, he's been doing it for years, and he always puts out good stuff. And anyway, again, thank you so much. Y'all go check him out. And that's all I got.
All right, that'll do it for this week's Spot On Jaguars podcast, brought to you by Teal Reign. Until next time, Eric, Jeff, Ben signing off. Thank you again.
See y'all.
Go Jags.
More autographs. More cowbell.
I mean, yeah.
That was fun.
That was funny. That was good. That's the funniest thing Ben said.
I'm hilarious, bro.
In your own mind.
Consistent.
In your own mind.
Consistent.